following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi there, thanks for tuning in. I'm Sharon, and I'd like to thank Cheryl again from Fresh of Nashua on Main Street for these beautiful earrings and this beautiful sparkly necklace. You have to check her out. She has a lot of lovely accessories and some nice summer stuff. Good time to get stuff on sale, actually. So today we're going to partner up with Micci from Lifelong Fitness. She's going to be talking to us today about her journey over the weekend. Welcome to the show, Ann.
Thank you very much.
So what did you do this weekend?
I was in a personal training seminar all weekend.
Okay.
It was performed by Perform Better, and it was a 3-day seminar, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they beat me up.
They beat you up?
They beat me up.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it was meant to show us new ideas so that we could then give to our clients. So it wasn't just for personal trainers. It could be for physical therapists, massage therapists, whoever wanted to attend, but I feel sorry for them because if they weren't used to working out this hard, it was very difficult. There were 2 hands-on and 2 lectures every hour or every hour and a half. So you had a choice, and so some of those people might have chosen a lecture instead, but it was good. It was meant to do things that were more functional training versus using a machine. So they didn't have machine equipment like I have in my gym, but I do circuit training as well, and so this gave me new ideas of things that I could do with my clients.
So is this something that you do every year due to these seminars?
Yes.
Once a year
well,
usually?
Well, actually,
or?
It's been more like every other year, but it's something that I'd like to do every year because I have 2 certifications that I have to fulfill CEUs for, the credits for, and one of them is for my fitness nutrition certification, and one of them is for my personal trainer certification. And they both renew each year, one each year. So I have to have, they have 2 years to fulfill the CEUs, but one comes due each year, so I really need to do it just every year to be able to.
So you do have to keep, you do have to renew.
20 credits every year.
Oh, really?
For every 2 years.
That's kind of good to know.
Yeah, yeah, and that is true for anybody that has any kind of professional license. They usually have CEUs
Same with me.
that they have to do. You do too?
Yeah, every 2 years.
The chiropractor next door to me has the same thing. So, so almost every professional has CEUs that they have to fulfill. So mine is 20. And so this 3-day weekend fulfills the whole thing. I could take another like a nutrition course like I did before. I could do different kinds of courses like that. Some of them are 2 credits, some of them are 20 credits, depending on how long they are. The nutrition certification that I had is a 2-year course. I'd rather not do another one of those.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend a weekend doing something than a 2-year course.
Right.
There's about 600 pages in that book, and it's very, very dense and a lot of learning. So it's much easier to do a course where you have a fun time and have a lot of camaraderie. There are 1,000 people there at this seminar. So
is this usually at the same facility every year, same town, same facility?
Yeah, it's held at the Convention Center in Providence. So it's done usually June or July, and usually the same speakers. A few of them weren't there this time, a few new ones, but for the most part it's the same group of people. And some of them are very, very good, and I look forward to joining in on those classes. Alan Cosgrove and Rachel Cosgrove are the 2 main ones that I get excited to see because they have a gym called Results Fitness, and it's out in California. And as I mentioned to you earlier, these 2 gyms that they own are 7-figure gyms as far as the dollar amounts that they bring in with these gyms, both of them. And one of the things that Alan mentioned, I did go to his lecture, one of the things that he mentioned are the 2 businesses that go under most. Number 1 is restaurants, number 2 is gyms. So
Really?
the number 2 business that goes under the most are gyms. And I'm very fortunate because that hasn't happened to me, and I don't ever plan it to happen to me because I've been very successful. But it's very common. So he's found a way not only to not go out of business, but to make it a 7-figure business, which is unbelievable.
So what did you learn that he went out of his way to do to kind of generate that kind of revenue or
Well,
success?
He does it in ways that brings other types of success, like doing some internet business. He does tapes, and he does lectures, and he does books. So some of the things that he does is beyond just personal training. He does a lot of group fitness classes. Mine is all one-on-one training. So with one-on-one training, I'm limited to just that hour with that person, and I'm limited to how many people I can see within a day. And I'm limited to the days that I'm there per week.
Right.
If I'm not there, I don't make any money. So that's my income is limited in all those different ways. However, what I like about my business versus that type of business is that it's very one-on-one. And so if someone comes in and they're having a bad day, I can enjoy helping them through that and give them a good workout so that hopefully they leave feeling better. Where
Right.
you can't do that in group.
You don't have to worry, about somebody else hearing, what's going on, or making them feel uncomfortable and stuff like that.
And very noticeable today when I was working with somebody, they were talking with me and they were talking very loud and they were very excitable, and it was not necessarily on a good topic, but they were very excitable about something that was going on with their parents, and they were trying to tell me the situation. Someone walked in, all of a sudden they started talking very low, and they just so it went from something that they were very passionate about to someone's in the room. And so,
well, at least that triggered them to talk lower.
Yeah, exactly. But it totally changed their dynamics. They felt like they couldn't talk anymore, and they were really getting it out of their system what they wanted to talk about, and so it just unfortunately, it all of a sudden ended their session of being able to get it out of their system.
Yeah.
And then it changed the whole dynamics. And it was the last 5 minutes of their session.
Yeah, because your next client was coming in,
right?
Yeah.
Right. But it totally changed the dynamics of the ending of their session. So so that's what makes it so nice for the one-on-one. It's because they feel like they can energize their own workout by getting the steam out.
Yeah, and it probably would be hard for them to adjust. What happens if you were to grow and take on another trainer, or you know what I mean? What happens if you were to grow your business?
I've had many people ask me, why don't I bring in another trainer so I can have more clients?
Yeah.
And I try to keep reminding people, if I did that, now I've got 4 people in the room. Or if those people bring a guest in, now they've got 6 or 8 people in the room. Because we've got the trainer plus 2 with them, and the trainer and plus 2 of the others. And all of a sudden, you've got all these people in the room. And now I go to use a piece of equipment, and I've got 1 or 2 people that are trying to use maybe 2 pieces of equipment, and then they come over and try to use the same piece. Now you're in the same situation as a big gym. Only the problem is that everybody's sort of bumping into each other, and it's difficult to converse what the next person's trying to do. You know? You can't really talk amongst each other because you're trying to pay attention to your client.
So what did you learn out of your conference this past weekend as to something that motivated you into maybe upping your game or doing something different with what you do now? Did anything?
New toys.
New toys.
I bought all kinds of new toys.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing to do. As I mentioned before I went, I said, oh, this came from that conference. This one came from that conference. I have battle ropes. I've got TRX. I've got all these things that came from previous conferences.
So they sell stuff right there.
They sell stuff right there. So I left this one with sandbags and equalizers, Liebert equalizers, Liebert ropes that are sort of like a TRX. I left with new books and new DVDs. And just much more ideas, different things that I could get. I had a new pad to stand on, an ARX pad, so you can stand on for working on your balance, a new type of foam roller that I'd never seen before, a new type of trigger point ball that you can put against the wall and use to release your muscles. So I bought a lot of stuff.
Yeah, good. You're like, oh, you want to try this?
Yeah, exactly. And the first person I put on the foam roller asked me if I could get them one. So I called up and I said, I was just at the show. Is it okay if I order this online? They sent it to me, the show price, no shipping.
Oh, good.
So it was great. I got show prices on things.
Yeah.
So anyway, a lot of the stuff that I learned was some of the equipment I already had, just a better way to do it. I didn't mention I got a sandbag too. That was something else I bought.
Yep.
So a lot of this equipment is stuff I already had, but I didn't have a sandbag before. And one of the advantages of the sandbag is it has handles on it, and you can take it and sort of like a suitcase. You throw it to one side of you as you step back, then you throw it to the other side of you as you step back. It completely throws off your balance.
So you're like doing like one of these?
Yeah, you're doing a step back lunge basically. And then as you do the step back lunge, the suitcase is coming down along the side of you. And then it's coming down along the side of you. So it's like a wood chop.
Yeah.
And so it completely throws off your balance. So it has the ability of having a 10-pound bag inside or 2 of them, so it's a 20-pound bag. So I can use it for, either strength of clients, something light or something heavier. So that makes it fun. It adds a whole new dynamic. This morning I had a 23-year-old at 6 a.m. this morning, and I worked him hard with all my little tricks, and, and he was kind of a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
At 23, sometimes they can be more overwhelmed than my 90-year-old client. It depends on their abilities, and he's relatively new to me. So, he thought it was a little overwhelming, some of the things that I used.
I bet.
So, you assume that somebody is really strong because they're young.
Yeah.
Don't ever assume that.
Yeah, no, I get that. I bet if I put my kids through, what we do together and stuff like that, they'll be huffing and puffing way more than I am. Of course, I've been used to doing it too.
Right.
The more you do, the better you get.
Well, one of the best things is it's summertime now. I don't know if any of your kids are free, but bring one of them in with you and do a workout, doing one of the circuit training workouts that I do.
Yeah.
And they'll go, "Oh, Mom, I'm so impressed. You were so strong." Because they'll just be blown away at how strong you are compared to them.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of mothers that do that. They'll bring one of their kids in. And
So what is this circuit training?
well, the circuit training I do is instead of just doing regular weight exercises with my selectorized equipment, the ones where you just pin the plates to get the weight that you're trying to do, instead of doing that, I do exercises with balls and bands and walking lunges with weights and my ropes, my TRX, everything that you do that doesn't involve a piece of equipment.
So you do more like a little class?
And it's but with just that single person again. Or I
Okay.
might do it with 2 people if you bring in a guest.
Okay.
And so if I do as I did with this training seminar, they may pair 3 people with 3 pieces of equipment, and then you rotate who's using that piece of equipment. So I would do the same thing if you brought in a guest. I would have them doing one thing, you doing something else, and then you might switch. Or you might do it as a round table type of a circuit. So you're ahead and they come follow behind, and you go all the way around the room and do different things. But what it does is it creates what they call fartlek training, F-A-R-T-L-E-K, and that's Swedish for speed play. And what you're doing is you're doing things that are going to get your heart rate up, and then your heart rate has to come back down again, so you have to rest. And the resting is going from one thing to the next. You're resting in between each exercise. And if you need more rest, you sit, or you do whatever you need to do to calm it down. So I may give you an exercise that's not very aerobic, and then you do something that's more aerobic, like battling ropes. And then the next thing I might have you do bent over rows where you're just rowing a dumbbell, so it's nothing that's aerobic.
Yeah.
And then somebody that's more fit, I might have you doing step-ups with flies out to the side with dumbbells, so you're doing upper and lower body at the same time. And the next thing I might have you do like a walking lunge with a bicep curl and an overhead press. So you're doing shoulders again, bicep curls, legs, and you're walking, so that's very aerobic.
Yeah, you've
So
had me do
depending
those
on-
a few times.
Yeah, so depending on who you are
Yeah.
and how strong you are, I can vary the exercises. It also depends on your fitness level, but it also depends on your injury level. So, again, I've mentioned in the past, who you are depends on what kind of workout you get and, what disabilities you have.
So you did seminars and you did workouts. So that was every 2 hours, you said?
Yeah, it was an hour and 15 minutes long for each one, and about 15, 20 minutes in between each one.
So how many workouts did you, what did you do
I
in a
did
day?
3 workouts a day, and then one that was more like a stretching type workout. So they could teach things for getting more mobility or more stretching, or another one was more like ankle footwork. It was called the broken athlete.
Oh, really?
The broken athlete. I jumped right in on that one because there's a lot of broken athletes, and I could be one of them at times too, doing too much. And you have to have all of your joints working properly, your ankles, your knees, your hips. And so she was showing just little tiny exercises for each of those body parts so that you can get them stronger.
Yeah. Well, I know that happens to me, and you've heard it. The cracking in my knees and stuff like that when I'm working out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be like a little crazy.
Yeah, and it does get that way, and as the older we get, the more the fluids in the knees, change, and then also the ligaments and so on change, and then things like your meniscus in your knee get narrower and narrower, and pretty soon you're bone on bone, and we hope that we never get there.
We hope we never get there, no. But that's why you need to take your vitamins, eat good things and do the right things for your body, to kind of prevent those natural
Yeah.
bad things of happening.
Yes.
So was it a big group? Were you in a big like auditorium and all of you guys were doing this exercise, or was it like smaller groups?
It's
like
4 big rooms. It's
Four
in the
big
convention center. So it was 4 big rooms. And so you had a choice of sitting in a lecture, which had about probably 50 seats in the lecture room. So there was one in particular that I looked in, and it was not only full, but there was like 5 deep on both sides of the room and people pouring out the door.
Yeah.
So obviously that was a good lecture. But then the exercise rooms, sometimes there's as many as 100 people in one of the exercise rooms, and then one of the last ones I did on Sunday, there was only 18.
Oh.
So it depended on the day, the person that was the lecturer or the exercise person, whether people liked them or not. Like I said, I like Alan Cosgrove and his wife Rachel, and those 2 classes were packed because everybody knows that they do a really good class.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah.
But did your husband do it with you, or?
Well, he wanted to do it with me,
Yeah.
and I paid for him to do it with me, and he did. He had a lot of work to do personally for his work, so he
On the
stayed in the
weekend?
yes, on the weekend. So he does work a lot on the weekends. So he stayed in the hotel room on Friday and worked. Saturday he came with me to the second seminar, and it was very difficult. So he did the warm up, and then he was off on the sidelines within 15 minutes, sweating, panting, and dying. And within half an hour, he was gone. He said he would sit this one out, and he never came back again, and he didn't come back on Sunday either.
Oh.
I don't think he knew how hard it was going to be.
Did he? So he
He's
hasn't
done it before. He has
done it before.
Yeah, he's done, I think, 2 one-hour sessions before. But he hasn't been working out as faithfully as he used to. So I think combined with the fact that he hasn't been doing this frequently, but he's
Yeah.
just not in as good shape as he's been in the past. And then it's just hard. You can't just jump into these classes. They had us doing heavy duty sprinting with push-ups and all kinds of different exercises, going through bands and balls and ropes, and push-ups with them holding your feet up in the air while you're doing push-ups off of bars, and just crazy stuff. But they're trying to take us to our limits so that we can see all these varied things that we can do with our clients. And if you're working with a 23-year-old who is in good shape, you want to be able to challenge them, because, for instance, if they're on a football team, you want to be able to give them things that's going to make it challenging for them. And then if you're in your 70s or 60s, you want to be able to do things safely that are good ideas, but not necessarily something that's going to be too difficult for them. So they have to show you all kinds of different exercises and so on that you can bring into your clientele.
Right.
And so I've got a wide variety. I've got three people in their 20s, and the majority of my clients are in their 60s. Probably 30 clients in their 60s.
Yeah.
I've got almost 60 clients, so
Yeah.
it's I've got a big wide range.
Yeah.
And then, as I mentioned before, my hero Helen is 90. So
I know. I know. And you'll have to. You tried videoing her.
Yeah,
didn't you?
actually,
it wasn't
I
a
did.
Good. It wasn't a good one though.
I did. Well, I was videoing her doing inchworms.
Yeah.
And she does a perfect inchworm, except that particular day she wasn't keeping her legs completely straight. Normally she keeps her legs completely straight and brings her nose right to her knees. I mean, she's amazing.
Did she know she knew you were videoing?
Yeah, she knew, but she
Maybe
said it
next
wasn't a
time.
good day. She said, we'll try it again. She said it wasn't a great day. But the other day she came in and she had on a tank top, and she normally wears longer sleeves.
Yeah.
And I said, Helen, I'm bringing out the camera. I said, just stay right there. And so she posed and she flexed her biceps for me.
Aww.
And I put it on Facebook. I
Really?
said, check out the guns. I mean, she has got muscles that are unbelievable at 90.
I gotta check it out.
You've got to check out
Yeah.
the Facebook. She has got some amazing arms. She just says, I wish I had a different envelope, because her skin isn't amazingly toned because she's 90.
Yeah.
But she's just got amazing muscle, and her body just looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
It's funny because people have been noticing my changes, as my progress is coming along from my competition, and I've actually had a couple people like immediately look at me. Oh, I thought you were a bodybuilder or something like that. I'm like, and it's because I'm broad-shouldered, which I didn't realize how broad-shouldered I am.
So you start losing
And my
weight.
traps are enormous because of the profession I'm in, being a hairdresser and blow drying all day long, for all these years and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see the development come together. We'll just have to work on the legs and the butt.
It all comes together.
It all comes together.
But it's with losing weight, because all of a sudden people go, oh my God, you're getting so muscular. Well, what it is you're losing body fat, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden the muscle's coming out. So it wasn't that you weren't muscular before, it's that they couldn't
Yeah,
see it as well.
right, yeah.
So the more weight you lose, the more muscular you look. You know.
I can't wait to weigh in because I haven't weighed in a month or checked my body fat. So I don't want to do it too often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
I
like
don't
opening a
wanna
package. You know.
assume, so I'll look at it. Maybe the first week of August I'll do it again, and then I'll probably do it like every 3 weeks after that.
Yeah.
So I can see where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I talked to the lady today that runs the competition, and I was getting a little confused in talking to her because there's, for me who's never done it before, so I'll first go on stage with people that have never done it before, and that may not necessarily be all in my age group, just first time,
Right.
ladies, and then I do a second round, and then in that round will be my age group. So I'll be doing like 2 different stage appearances, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So, and I'm talking to her, I'm like, I just really don't know anything about this stuff. I've never done it before,
Right.
It's like, so what time do I have to be there? Because my makeup has to be done to the nines, my hair has to be done, my nails have to be done. I'm like, I feel like I'm doing a beauty pageant, for heaven's
Right.
sakes.
Well, you are.
I guess.
Worse than a beauty pageant. You're exposing everything. You're doing a beauty pageant and you're completely exposed.
I know. So I'm like, well, I'll have to get my makeup done. I'll have to call a photographer. I mean, this is adding up financially.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's exciting. I don't know if
bet.
I'll ever do it again.
Yeah,
But
you
we'll
know, but
see.
it's a goal. I mean, you might decide at the last minute you don't want to do it, but it's a goal to get you forward to try.
Oh, I
and
have to
make
do it.
progress.
And you're going to have to be my partner in crime that day.
Well, I'm not on stage with you, believe me.
No, not on stage.
I'm 11 years older than you. I'm not on stage.
Well, you look much better than me. What are you talking about?
Well, it's been years of doing. I had someone say you have old muscle. It's because I've been
God.
doing it a long time. So it's there. I have to maintain it, but
Yeah.
I've been doing it a long time.
Well,
Not my whole life by
yeah,
any means. But.
Right, but you've been doing it a long time, and like you said, and I've said before, it's never too late. So she was saying, because you can have a coach backstage with you for the day, or I'm going to be sitting there with a bunch of strangers. So I have to figure out who wants to be backstage with me for the day, because it has to be somebody that's obviously knows what they're doing, that are into fitness and stuff like that.
Right.
So I
Well, hasn't Rocco done shows before, or prep people for shows?
He's done judging, and yes, he can prep for shows, but it's not like he teaches like posing for the bikini.
Yeah, I don't teach that either.
No, I
don't know
know.
who does that.
So, so I'll have to figure that out. She does coaching. She does the posing and all that stuff, but it's in Portsmouth.
Oh,
Do I want to travel to Portsmouth?
to keep learning all the posing.
So
I bet you can get videotapes or go online and
we can
see
YouTube and
do-
stuff like that,
yeah.
but I have talked to a few people. I do know connections of girls that have done this type of thing.
Yeah.
So if I can take a couple lessons from them and, advice from them and stuff like that, I'd rather go that route. If I have to drive to Portsmouth, then I'll drive to Portsmouth. But
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go the day before, 2 days before, the day before drug testing. Then I got to figure out who's going to be behind the scenes with me
Yeah.
that day. I got to pay, and I got to pay for that day when I go in for my drug testing. And then I figure out what time they actually need us to all be there.
Right.
Because it opens up at 11. Prejudging is at noon, and then then the final walk is at 5 o'clock. So what do you do all that time?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a long time.
Have you ever heard? I'm sure you have. So when people train for fitness competitions and stuff like that, like I was talking to somebody yesterday, like if I had the courage to do it, I would, but I know I won't have a pizza that day. She's like, I met a girl that did a competition, and she said, she looked really amazing. I saw her picture. They all look amazing. But she showed me, and she's like, yeah, that night after the competition, I had a pizza.
Oh, that night after, yeah.
She goes, the next day, she's like,
Blow
my ab.
up.
No, she said she was more ripped.
Really?
Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't trust that. I wouldn't
No,
trust
I
that
know.
at
I'm
the
like, I'm
last
not going
minute.
to eat a pizza.
I wouldn't trust that at the last minute. Well, the whole thing, when you go onto these diets, and I'm sure that you've been somewhat coached on where you're going with this, but
Yeah.
but the reason, I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me if I would ever compete, or have I ever competed, because
Yeah.
I am more muscular, and again, it's been over time of developing myself, as I've said before, it's sculpting.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the thing about the diet is what's kept me away from doing it, because it's kind of freaky. You know, what ends up happening is that you have to gain a lot of weight first because you need to gain muscle. So you gain muscle, you get bigger, you're gaining more weight, and then you've got to figure out a way to maintain the muscle and lose the body fat at the same time without losing muscle.
Right.
So that's a very tricky balance right there. And so as you're starting to lose the body fat, then you have to, things like long, slow bouts of cardio, and then doing things like, and I personally would do just the opposite. I would do very short bouts of high-intense cardio, doing circuit training, or not circuit training, but high-intensity interval training, so HIIT cardio.
Yep.
So I would do sprinting for 30 seconds or a minute and then walk, because that's going to increase
That's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of that training
Yeah,
right now.
that to me is the better way to go. I've seen more people train with like an hour of walking at a 2.5 on the treadmill. It's like, what good is that?
You're wasting your time.
Yeah, what good is that? That's the way I've seen more people train as bodybuilders. But personally, I would do high intensity interval training no more than twice a week if you're doing more than 20 minutes especially, because you will burn off your muscle if you do any more training than that. Cardio isn't going to help you that much.
Right.
But then you start to get to the end, you have to drink a ton of water and heavily, heavily salt your food, so that you end up really blowing up, and then all of a sudden you stop using salt altogether and you still drink a ton of water. I'm talking gallon, 2 gallons, whatever it is. And then you get to that point, then you have to stop salting your foods, totally stop all carbs. You're eating like a strawberry as your carbs for the day. And then you have to go down to a cup of water, or maybe it's a half cup of water.
See, that's what I don't know where
and one strawberry. And what happens is it messes with your hormones, and you start to cry, and that's why I'm like, no way do I want to do that. But it's, but what happens is you achieve these amazing results because you dehydrate your body. That's why I was saying I wouldn't eat a pizza at the last minute, because what it does is it just blows you up, And maybe that day, maybe it wouldn't be so bad, but if you did it the night before, you would blow up.
No, I'm not going to take that chance.
Yeah.
Not going to take that chance at all. But I know what I'm supposed to be doing right now for eating, and actually I really had to correct that because I was actually not taking in, and we only have a few seconds here, but I wasn't taking in enough carbs at all, that I was getting painful headaches the last couple workouts that I had.
Like stopping caffeine.
Yeah, like very painful, and I'm not the type of person that gets headaches, so it was very concerning to me. So I looked into it, and I was told that I was lacking carbs and what to do, and hopefully that'll fix the issue. And I'm sure it will, but this is the strongest battle that will be for me, is this whole eating process and the water and everything else. But that wraps it up for our show today already.
Amazing.
So thanks for coming again, and you'll
Thank
be
you.
here for a few.
Yes,
For
co-hosting.
co-hosting. We
Yes.
have some fun guests that are coming on, so look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.